You are watching the Go Crying the Walk-In podcast. I'm Chef Cholo, and you already know. As usual, we are always powered by Hospitality News Magazine and Hospitality News Magazine Online. If you're one of those people that likes to know about what's happening in the hospitality industry, maybe you missed last night's party or you didn't get to go to the convention, you want to see some pictures, who was there, what was happening, look no further than Hospitality News Magazine and Hospitality News Magazine Online. And if you like what you're watching or listening to at all tonight, please go to our YouTube channel, Go Crying the Walk-In, like, subscribe, and share. And for everything Chef Cholo, check out my Instagram page at Chef Cholo8. Today, I am truly thrilled to welcome Chef Rene Marquis, the National President of the American Culinary Federation, a premier organization in our industry. Chef Rene was trained at the Culinary Institute of America and worked as garde chef and chef tournant at the Broadmoor Hotel before joining the U.S. Army in 1993. He served for 21 years, where he was a key member and captain of the United States Army Culinary Arts team, and competed in the Culinary Olympics and the Culinary World Cups. He has been an ACF judge since 2005 and became an international culinary judge through World Chefs in 2014. Chef Rene has made many media appearances, including Dinner Boot Camp for Cafe Mom Studios, and a big win on Alton Brown's Food Network show, Cutthroat Kitchen. He is a corporate chef for Land of Lakes and actively volunteers in the Tampa Bay area, particularly for veterans and the Chef and Child Initiative. His accolades include ACF Chapter Chef of the Year, presidential medallions, and judging the Culinary World Cup. I'd like to welcome Chef Rene Marquis. How are you, brother?
Good evening, Chef Cholo. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Excellent, excellent. I love all your garb on your jacket there, Chef. You're really wearing it well.
It's just my everyday uniform, Chef.
That's how it goes every day for you, right, Chef?
If I'm in the kitchen, this is what it looks like.
Chef Cholo has switched over to the T-shirt and later in his life.
Nothing wrong with that.
I remember when I was in culinary school, I don't know, when did you graduate CIA?
1992.
Was Corky Clark still teaching at the time?
Corky Clark, the retired Marine, was my fish instructor as well.
I was lucky to have him for American regional cooking before he went into fish. And I'll tell a quick story of Chef Clark. You know, his classes were very rapid and super fast and a lot of information. And we had about 3 to 5 minutes to eat family meal before we had to get back and critiqued on service. So I mistakenly left my hat on the table where we were eating, and I went back in the room and I didn't realize it. And I was sweeping the floor, and he leans over my shoulder and he goes, "Boy," because you remember that's how he talked, "Boy, if you don't have the respect to wear the hat in my kitchen, you're gonna pack your tools and go." And I would have been the fifth kid that got thrown out of that class. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to go. I'm going to sit here and take the beating, but I'm not going to leave. And about a couple minutes later, he rolls up on my back and he goes, "I see you didn't leave, boy." He goes, "I'm going to be on you like stink on shit for the rest of this class." I was like, "Chef, you do what you got to do, but I ain't going anywhere." And I think I earned a little of his respect that night. And, we met each other at Augie's a few times, and, the guy's just a legend.
You're lucky he didn't make you do push-ups and make you go cry in the walk-in.
Oh, we all cried in the walk-in, brother. We all cried in the walk-in. So, as I mentioned earlier, you're the national president of the ACF, which is really, in my opinion, the only organization for chefs in this country. And, their affiliation with the Culinary Institute of America and really the only way for a chef to get truly certified and, able to earn himself, prestige and a lot of times more money in his job. I mean, How did you get involved in the ACF, and how did you rise to rise to such, heights so fast?
It surely doesn't seem fast, Chef. I've been doing this for 30 plus years, and I was voluntold to join the ACF. Um, I was a student that was not supposed to go to the CIA. I was supposed to play hockey. Turned down a hockey scholarship to go to culinary school. And when I got there from day two, Fritz Sonnersmith was my mentor, and I was fortunate enough to work with one of the last classes as him as the dean, and some of the other master chefs that took me under their wing. My funny story about the CIA is when I showed up at the Poughkeepsie hockey rink, and I could skate a lot better than I could cook at that time. And I checked Ferdinand Metz into the boards, and everybody said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just did that." I said, "Who in the hell is he?" And they said, "He's the president of the ACF." I just kind of picked up my tail and skated off to the other side of the ice and left that whole subject alone.
Was he the president of the school when you were there? Because he was our president when
He,
we were there.
he was the president. Matter of fact, 1992, he was the captain of Culinary Team USA.
Yeah.
So I got to the school when the school was in its prime. But once I became the student chapter president of the Beekman Arms chapter, I never left the ACF. The only time that I had a separation of ACF service is when I was deployed when I was a soldier. But I would not be where I am today, and I would not have the certifications that I currently have if I wouldn't have been part of the ACF.
So you went to Culinary Institute first and then went into the military. Is that
I
right?
wasn't supposed to go to the mil. That's correct. I wasn't supposed to go to the military either. I got recruited when I was working at the Broadmoor by a gentleman by the name of Norman Schwarzkopf. For 3 days,
Wow.
I cooked for him tableside for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And he told me, "Oh, come be my chef. Come be my chef." And then I found out he was in the army. I was like, "Oh no, hell no! I'm not joining the army." And then come to find out, the Army offered me a student loan repayment program and a cash bonus for enlistment up to $100,000. So I signed the contract, went to basic training, and became a chef in the Army. I was a certified working chef at that point, and the rest is history. I had a great opportunity to work in his house and do very nice private functions, VIP dinners. And I said, "Man, this is not bad." And then I found out the Army had a hockey team. So I was like, "Man, I can cook in the Army, paid off my student loans, and I can still play hockey." It was the best of both worlds.
Wow, that's amazing. I had the opportunity to meet General Schwarzkopf myself at a big catering hall that he came and spoke at, and really, what a powerful, awesome individual. Now, you were in the military for over 2 decades. I mean, can we talk a little bit about the progression of food service, if there was one in the military while you were there?
Oh, 100%. So I will tell you that when I first joined the Army and went to my first unit, which was at Fort Drum in New York, and I loved Fort Drum because everybody hated it. It snowed for about 180 days out of the year. And being from Maine, I love the snow. I'm efficient on snow plows. I'm efficient on snow blowers. I'm efficient on uh, snowmobiles. So that was right up my alley. And when I first worked in a dining facility, it was the first a la carte dining facility in the 18th Airborne Corps, which belonged to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. But that dining facility was just renovated, and the renovation included a pizza station, burger stations, a sandwich bar, a salad bar, nacho station. So the Army at that time, that was the first dining facility in the Army to be the a la carte facility. It was the premier facility, and that was just the beginning of the transition of military food service. I always tell people that everybody thinks that Army food service is like Beetle and Bailey, and they give you a metal tray, and then you take off and they fill it up, and then you go taste your food on the way out. That's the old military. That's when they had mess halls. There's no mess halls anymore. They're dining facilities. They're competing with Cracker Barrel. They're competing with Applebee's. They're competing with Shoney's. They're competing with any of those chain restaurants that you may find right outside the gate of the base.
So we're not talking about MREs anymore, chef.
MREs are still there. There'll always be combat fuel rations. You
Yeah,
can't take Applebee's with you in your cargo pocket, but you can
you
surely
can't
take
do it.
MREs.
No, I mean, like, I guess like anything else, I mean, when soldiers had the opportunity to eat food cooked by a professional chef in a professional manner, I'm sure it made people just happy about, happier, let's say, about, what they were doing and why they were there. Am I right?
100%. I mean, there was a program called Skills for Stripes. Basically, if you had a degree, they were giving you bonuses to join the military, and that's still true today. I will tell you that the Coast Guard right now is offering up to $50,000 for chefs who are certified or chefs who are culinary educated to join their force. And the reason why they're doing that is because they don't have to spend the time to train them. They've already
Right.
been trained and they've already either been certified or have a classical approach. I tell people who went to a 2 year degree, uh, whatever you put into that 2 year degree is what you get out of it. But the best part of the story is for most people, they don't understand it. That 2 year degree that I got from the CIA took about 8 to 10 years of restaurant life experience that I got in that short 2 year period.
Yeah. I mean, like, I went to the CIA as a young person. I mean, my first month there, I was 19 years old. And, it was such an intense program. I really didn't start to understand what we even learned until many years after graduation. And things started to click. And I was like, oh, that's what that was all about. And really, that's what we were doing. I mean, people would think you leave the school with just a big recipe book and a list of pots and pans, but it's really not. They get you ready for, a very hard profession. And it's funny that you went to the military because during my time in school, there were plenty of guys that were there, on the GI Bill. So I had seen a lot of guys in the reverse of what happened to you, Chef.
Yeah, and they're still doing that today. One of the great things about people who are changing careers or they have a passion for cooking is they're actually going to use the GI Bill at the CIA. Um, the other part I wanted to mention is that the CIA actually prepared me for life, and then when I went to Army basic training, it was a joke. Having a drill sergeant stand up and yell in my face, that was no different than what I got in Hyde Park.
No,
I
you're
know that
right.
the times have changed, but it was easy for me.
Yeah, you could tell by the level of student now that it's definitely not like it was when we were there, sir.
Yes, sir.
Definitely not. I know you give back a lot to the Tampa Bay community, where you live, and you're feeding people that need resources and stuff like that. I mean, what got you into that kind of stuff?
Well, it's a combination of military service and a combination of ACF. The ACF was when the ACF was stood up, the whole intention of the ACF was to give back, and it was to take care of and feed people and make sure they were getting wholesome meals and make sure that our profession actually got in 1976 by Joe McLaughlin. It got aligned with the American Culinary Federation so that our profession could get certifications. And the giving back part is really just about we see homeless veterans and we see the system needs help, but for us as a community, we can make a larger impact by the movement of food. And I think we do this locally, but we also do this nationally and internationally. There's different programs like International Chef's Day, the Chef and Child program. All those programs exist around the ACF and World Chefs.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I spoke earlier about, you getting into a lot of this judging. I mean, was that was that something again you were asked to do, or was this something that you always kind of wanted to do? I mean, I think it's a lot
Oh,
of
no.
pressure. It's a lot of pressure judging, other guys and your peers and things like that. I mean, I find a lot of pressure in that.
So you don't just wake up one day and you get bestowed a judge. You have to compete and you have to meet at the criteria and receive and earn many gold medals in different categories to become an ACF judge. We have the highest standards of judging. Matter of fact, a lot of chefs are intimidated by the ACF standard, and sometimes they don't compete if the ACF is involved because of the high standard. But basically, my mentors, after going to so many competitions, I used to subsidize my income from the Army. Every time there was a competition on the East Coast from Atlantic City to Myrtle Beach, I would get in the car on the weekends and I would go and compete. And we had a group of guys on the USACAT team, which is the Army's culinary arts team. We used to all go to competitions and we'd get first, second, and third place every place we went. And we'd pool the money and we'd share the money. and that was a way that we continued to climb the ladder of this profession. But you don't just become a judge; you have to earn that spot. And I'm not intimidated by judging because for me, judging is giving back to my profession. It's a volunteer status. No one gets paid for this. That's the difference, I guess, from being on the Food Network versus being
Yeah.
a judge who donates their time for certifications or evaluations. But it's really about making our profession and our leaders stronger.
You spoke about the Food Network just now. I mean, what was that experience like with on Alton Brown show and that kind of stuff?
So there's a lot of history there too. Alton Brown came to our conference in Orlando in 2012, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to be on my next show? I got a new show coming out." And I said, my wife and I giggled and said, "Absolutely." So about 3 months later, I was off to California to Food Network, and I applied to a lot of other Food Network shows, but Alton Brown brought me on Cutthroat Kitchen. I was actually on episode one, season one, episode seven, Tiny Tools, Big Problems, and there was one other ACF chef in the group of four of us, and I basically used my cooking skills and sabotages to get to victory.
I
After I
mean,
got done with that show, I applied for other Food Network shows, and they're like, "No, you're overqualified."
they were
Um,
scared
I
of you,
did get on
chef.
the I did get on the taste, but unfortunately, they sent me tickets on the 3rd of July of 2013, and they told me I had to be there on 4th of July, and I had a very large barbecue for my boss that I was working for at the time at MacDill Air Force Base, so I couldn't go to that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean,
That was with Anthony Bourdain.
oh wow, that would have been a great experience. I mean, all us chefs have that experience where the job has gotten in the way of something else. I mean, I think we could all tell that story, right?
Oh, 100%. We give up so much each and every day and every week, whether it's friends or family. No one in this profession understands unless you're in it. But nights, weekends, and holidays, when everybody else is celebrating, we're the ones doing the work.
We're making it happen, right, chef?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, a busy guy like you, do you have time for things like, like fun things like social media or television or anything like that?
My wife is also a chef, and she has a very extensive job as well. She is also certified. She has been inducted to the American Academy of Chefs. Um, we celebrate our life with food, and when we're not cooking it, we're watching some of it on the Food Network. But this experience of being the ACF national president was nothing that I thought of ever doing. And come to find out, being the first retired military veteran to be in charge of the American Culinary Federation, I think I made my way. I think that I've set a standard of excellence that people will want to follow when I'm finished with the ACF. You only can serve two-year terms as ACF president, so I'm in my first term, second year, and if I'm elected again, then I'll get to serve another 2-year term. But to be honest with you, my intentions of working for the membership of the ACF is to fix the ACF. The ACF lost its way. Previous leadership and previous um, presidents have not focused on the importance of why the ACF is what it is, and we need to take care of our members. This is a member-driven organization made for and run by the members, and then we have staff that augments the decisions made by the members. And leading into COVID and after COVID, we lost our way. So
Yeah.
the script was flipped, and I'm fixing it. We have a great board, and we are putting the important things, and we're listening to the members, and we're correcting the things that need to be corrected.
I'm glad you brought that up because, I've been involved in our local chapter for over 25 years, and I find that like there's two kinds of chefs, and I think like a lot of the exciting chefs are guys that are out there, in restaurants kind of doing their thing, not so much the hotel guys or the educators. They don't really find their way in the ACF because they don't understand, competition and, even certification. They are chefs in their heart. They do the job, and they do something very special. Do you think there's any way that the ACF could kind of like morph itself to bring some of these people involved? I think that's been something I've tried to do in our local chapter, and I wonder if that's something that you've ever thought about.
Actually, we're doing it. I stood up about 15 new task force since I've been president, and we have a task force for senior living chefs. We have a task force for Asian chefs. We have a task force for women in culinary arts. We have a task force for the military. We have a task force for International Chefs Day. So it's the power of the people, and that's the way that I grew the ACF Tampa Bay chapter. And we don't leave anybody behind. You said something that resonates very well, and it's a fact. There's people that love the ACF, and there's people that don't know anything about the ACF and don't choose the ACF. These restaurant chefs that are working in their restaurants, they don't see an interest or a need for the ACF. They don't want to compete because they think every day that they're going to work is a competition. They don't want to get educated. They have no interest in getting certified because they already run their own restaurant. So the benefits of the ACF, if they've ever been mentored, if you've ever been trained or had someone bring you the facts of the ACF, there's something for everybody. Let's say you're a person who likes to take classes online. We have hundreds and hundreds of classes on our platform for our e-learning. So you could do all of your certification requirements just through that process. And then, the other part of it is people don't want to take the certification evaluation because they're afraid of failing. And we're not here to fail people. Again, we have a standard of excellence, and we want everybody to have a seat at the table, and we want everyone to get certified because I think it's important. And I have an analogy that you're going to laugh and you're going to say, I can't believe he just said that. But I don't let my wife go to a doctor that doesn't have MD to get after his name to get a mammogram. I don't bring my car to Walmart to get serviced. Just like you want your meals cooked by someone who's certified and someone who's educated. Every hotel chef says executive chef on their jacket, but if it doesn't say certified executive chef, it doesn't mean nothing.
Right on. Good point. Good point. Well, Chef, I really appreciate you hanging out and spending a little time with us. And please, if you're ever in New York, we'd love to have you visit our chapter here on Long Island, and it would be really special for us.
Absolutely. I will make it a point the next time that I'm there for work. We will definitely hook up.
We'll go out for dinner. Eddie's buying, right, Eddie?
Eddie's buying. Sounds great to me.
I'm in.
Thank you, Eddie Daniels.
Yes, sir. Well, you've been watching the Go Crying to Walk In podcast. I'm Chef Cholo, and you already know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on our YouTube channel, and go to my Instagram, Chef Cholo8, for everything Chef Cholo. Peace.